Hi, my name's Itali, and in this video I'll be drawing a winter commission for Xanti. Just a reminder, this is a time lapse, so it does contain fast moving and flashing images. So this is the third seasonal picture I'm doing for Xanti. I have done the spring, autumn, and now we're doing winter. We did skip over summer, but I'm sure she'll want to get it sometime down the track. This picture took me 6 hours to do in total. We're starting with sketching out the idea, so I do like to have a fairly good idea of what background we're going with before I start putting down some solid colour. So I'm just putting together a couple of different ideas and different poses for Xanti to look at before I go ahead and do it in earnest. Xanti chose the cute one looking up at the sky as the snow softly falls down, but she did ask that I make the character look more closed up and a little bit more cold. So I'm just doing a repositioned sketch here, just bringing the legs forward and fluffing up the chest a little more so they look like they're trying to keep themselves warm a little more. I'm just going to add the so-called flat colours to this. I did just use the normal bamboo brush and the felt brush as my smudge tool. For the background, I did use my new favourite custom brush, which is this sort of grainy texture brush I made actually for Xanti's previous picture, the autumn picture, and I super love that brush. So just quickly finishing these flats. And then I'll move on to doing the background before returning to the character again. Now I've actually spent approximately 6 hours on all of Xanti's pictures so far, and in my mind I thought perhaps this one wouldn't take me as long because there's not a lot of detail in snow, it's just kind of a white blanket. But I was wrong. Turns out it takes me quite a while to make sure that snow forms in the right lumps and looks like snow and is all sparkly and pretty. So we did actually spend a fair bit of the time in drawing the background, just sculpting this snow and trying to make it look like snow in parts that have been trodden on and parts that have just been left virgin. So yeah, snow takes longer than you think, turns out. So I did end up just spending the full 6 hours on here, exactly on 6 hours. Nearly to the second, which is surprising for me. Sometimes I ran a little bit over, but this time it was right on the 6 hours. Now this is starting to look like nice fluffy snow. I move on to the mountains, and then after looking at the other pictures I decide the character isn't big enough in the frame, so I make them a little bit larger, but then I realize they look too small, or the background looks too small around them, so I make the background a little larger as well. Which means I lose some of the detail I had already done, and that I have to re-detail some parts, because when you make a picture larger, it does generally make the edges fuzzier. So I'm just going back over these edges and making them a bit sharper again. And then I return to working on the mountains in the background. I then start adding the bits of trees sticking out of these piles of snow so they don't just look like triangles of snow. This climate's not meant to be so cold that the trees are completely covered. And in most cases, especially with tall trees, you're going to see something sticking out of those piles of snow anyway. So just adding some details of these evergreen trees are sticking out of the piles of snow, and then detailing the snow piles themselves a bit more as well. I just add some trees in the distance between the two sort of rock formations. They don't have to be too detailed since they're mostly going to be covered up. I'm not even sure if you'll see them at all by the end, so I don't spend too much time on these. I do return to them a little bit near the end of the video when I return to the background again and tie everything together. But yeah, I'm not spending much time on them at the moment. They just need to look like trees in the distance. Now, some of you may be looking at this sketch and thinking she's forgotten the antlers. But actually, Xanti's character doesn't have antlers in winter. We decided together that their character would actually shed their antlers. So we made sure, or I went back and re-edited all of the seasonal pictures to show the horns slowly growing from spring, getting bigger in summer and then being at their largest in autumn, and then they're shed in winter. So instead of having the antlers in winter, we've drawn a larger crest of feathers, and in general they'll just be fluffier in winter, so they'll just have a larger coat of feathers in winter to keep them warm, and then when spring comes along again, the antlers will start to regrow. Now, it's not as entirely picture if I don't struggle at some point in the video. So this time it's the eye. I just didn't have the positioning right or the size right, so I do fiddle with it on and off throughout the video. You would have seen me rotating it earlier on, but I do decide later on it's still not right and I have to reposition it again, but I am happy with it by the end of the video. As you can see, I have no shortages of references for Xanti's character now, so I just tend to surround the area with pieces of the dragon I've cut up when I'm struggling a little bit. So you'll see I've got a bunch of heads around here at the moment as I try and fix the eye, and then later on I think I do the same thing with the wings and the feet. The eye does look very pretty, but I think it was just too big, so you will see that I shrink it down and shift it a little bit, and I think it does look better like that. I've also made the chest rather fluffy. I thought it looks pretty cute, but it is a little too fluffy. So there's an edit after this video where I do trim down the feathers on the chest. So when you see the picture at the end of the video, you'll see it has a slightly less fluffy chest to be more in line with how the character normally is. Now, I have made the wings a little too long. This would probably be alright if this was a normal picture, but all of these pictures are meant to be chibi, or at least slightly chibi, so I have made the wings too long in comparison to the other images, so I do have to shorten the middle part of this wing in a moment, just to keep it in line with the other pictures I did, as they are sort of meant to be a set of 4 seasonal pictures, and I want them, the style and the shape of the dragon, to be consistent between all 4 pictures. Now I'm going to move on to the legs, which historically I struggle with, so I did decide this time to completely remove the legs and do them on a separate layer, so I was sort of more free to fiddle with them if I needed to. It actually went pretty okay this time. I didn't struggle as much as I did in the autumn picture, so I basically just repainted these and just drew them a bit better, or in a bit better position than what I'd done in the sketch, and sort of more in line with the background, so they're sort of curving around the mounds of snow, and then I continued to detail them afterwards. Also, just watching back on the video, this does look kind of freaky with all these dismembered legs just sitting around the dragon. It just kind of, I don't know, it looks really weird. But don't worry, I didn't really cut them off. The dragon still has feet, I promise. Once I'm happy with the feet, I start integrating some of the background colors a bit more, so it's sort of more faded out and looks like it's a bit more part of the background. And then I will actually return to the background and finish off some of the things I didn't do yet, like the falling snow, and just tying things together and doing the finishing touches for the background. I decided to start adding the bits of snow sitting in front of the dragon. Now normally I do this on a separate layer, but I was really stupid and accidentally did it on the same layer as the character. So when I went to smudge things and erase parts, I suddenly discovered I was doing it on the wrong layer. Luckily for me, as soon as I finished the character, I did actually save it as its own picture without a background. So you'll see here I erase away all of the character to leave the snow I'd left in front, and then I just load in the character I had saved earlier and put it underneath the new layer, which has the snow separate to the character. I suddenly noticed how crappily I'd done the trees in the front, so I've returned to them with a better brush that looks a bit more like the actual leaves of these trees instead of just like a random smudgy nothingness. So I think it looks a lot better now. And we are very close to the end of the background, so I've just pretty much got to do these snow drop things, snowflakes, snow... What do you call it when it's not a snowflake? It's just snow. It's snow. Anyway, I do the snow. It's good. And I add some little smaller pieces here and there because it would sort of get denser as you look further into the distance. So I just duplicate the layer a bit and add some more in the background. And then I just add the snow collecting on top of the character themselves. And then the picture is pretty close to being done. And here it is, the completed picture with the smaller chest feathers, and I do think it looks better with the smaller chest feathers anyway. Thanks to everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I also have a Patreon if you want to support me. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Bye!